starting to regret that I stopped at this restaurant. Starting to regret that I stopped at this restaurant.
Now I wait to see what the hell we're doing. Slide right up.
It's not the one we called up, is it?
Man, that'd take a while.
And this is how you come down.
All right. No adventure for me and Adventure Dog today. Oh, she's right here. That's pretty funny yesterday, right? I forget where I found that music from. I think I might have got it off of YouTube Music or something. And it's pretty funny. Threw it down on that video. You never know what people are going to think until you deliver it to them, right? What are you doing? Adventure Dog, come here. No? She's hyper. She's running around. She can hear the neighbor dog barking. She just thinks something's bad's going down out there. So she's pacing. But anyway, somebody sent in another video recording from a truck stop. I'm assuming a truck driver. And again, I had to unload it onto the, I had to load it from an email onto the big computer because my phone doesn't play that shit back, right? So it screws me up when I hit an email with attachment and I'm only on my phone. I can't do nothing with it while I'm here. So somebody has sent me in this recording. If there was an email attached to it, I apologize for not including it because I'm all over the frickin' map right now and I'm being yarded in 25 different directions. And but I do have this recording on my computer, so listen to this.
Starting to regret that I stopped at this restaurant. Starting to regret that I stopped at this restaurant.
So, what do you think of that? I know one thing for sure is our truck drivers witness a lot of real life because they're out in the real world, working nonstop, 24/7 around the clock, whether it be rural, remote, or in our cities. But they are out there all over the place, seeing everything. Now, if I did misplace and there was a detailed email that went with this creepy frickin' sound, email me back, man, and I'll read it out loud, all right? I apologize again if I screwed up. But that's not something I want to hear, parked anywhere. Now, listen to this. This is titled Mentally Linked to Bigfoot. This is almost a year ago this came in. Hi, Steve. Feel free to use my name. I'm Kevin Saunders. Now, I've lived in Central Florida for most of my life. I think it's important that people find out what these beings are capable of. And I believe you have the same opinion. The experiences I'm sharing have been bothering me for years, and I hope this helps other people that may have the same or similar encounters. In my younger years, before marriage and kids, a friend and I took a week of our vacation time each year to hunt the first week of archery season. We hunted in Texas several years, but in '94 we decided to hunt closer to home in northern Florida. We had a favorite wildlife management area that we hunted, so we packed up after work and started our 5.5-hour drive like every other year. We had camped in the same hunt camp 6 years straight from 1984 through '89, so we're very familiar with the area. Around 11:30 p.m., we made our last turn of the trip onto a 10-mile stretch of dirt road leading to our campground. As soon as we got on this desolate road, a herd of about 10 to 15 deer jumped out in front of my truck and proceeded to run along with us, matching our speed of about 45 miles per hour. We'd never had this happen before, so chalked it up to the cold front coming through that night, causing the deer to be more active. It's important to mention that the deer jumped out of a thick wood line on the driver's side and could have easily ran straight across the dirt road in the clearing on the passenger side of my truck. They didn't care that we were driving right next to them and didn't seem to want to get off the road. So I decided to increase my speed to get out in front of them. I continued ahead of them at about 55 miles per hour, which easily put them well behind us. Just a few minutes later, another herd of deer jumped out in front of us, causing me to slam on the brakes to prevent hitting one of them. It was the same scenario with the heavy woods to the left driver's side of the road and a clearing on the right passenger side, yet they decided to run along with us on the road. This time, I got a glimpse of brown, hairy legs running in the clearing next to my truck. I told my friend about what I saw, and he suggested that maybe it was a bear chasing them. I didn't think that was possible, but didn't have a better explanation, so just said maybe. Just as the last time, I sped up to 55 miles per hour to leave them behind. It was just a few minutes later that this scenario happened a third time. Unfortunately, this time I couldn't avoid hitting a younger one, killing it instantly. I stopped the truck and we talked several minutes about what we should do before making a decision. Because we received visits from the game warden each year we hunted there, we decided to move the yearling carcass off the road into the clearing instead of keeping it and trying to explain our experience to a skeptical officer. It was close to midnight at this time, so we quickly got to camp, set up the tent, and got some sleep. In the morning, we decided to drive and looked for new areas to hunt. We were going by the scene of the incident the previous night, so decided, out of curiosity, to see if anything had found the deer. It was nowhere to be found, and there were no drag marks or blood, like the carcass had been carried away. It was a young deer, but it was still heavy enough that it took both of us to move it into the clearing the night before. We both decided to categorize this as another one of many strange things that we had experienced out there. The next year we decided to go back for the 1995 archery season. And it was this year that I believe we discovered the answer to the 1994 herding mystery. It was during our morning hunt around 8:30 in the morning when we saw a 6.5 to 7 foot tall male, say a Sasquatch, chasing 2 deer. I initially spotted them around 250 yards away from my tree stand, and because of the clearing I was in, I had a good bird's eye view of this chase. The being was keeping up with the deer, which was the first thing I found odd. Another weird thing was the way he switched between running and crawling. It seemed that he would crawl when in thick brush and run in the clearings. The being ran like a bizarre cartoon character. The legs moved so fast, they looked like a blur, and its arms dangled at its side. It ran with its upper body leaning forward and its head back to compensate for the angle of its body. When he was crawling, he didn't rely on his hands much, but instead used them to separate the bushes while he made his way forward. The crawling motion reminded me of a lizard or a snake, the way the hips swayed, and I noticed his head was swiveled up on his shoulders in an unusual way, again, to compensate for the angle of his body. The being was built like a basketball player with extra long arms. He was lean with wide shoulders and a narrow waist. The hair was a dark brown and was longer on the back of his head and arms. I noticed his long arms didn't seem to taper down, but seemed to be at the same diameter the entire length. At the time, I thought I was discovering a new species and wanted a better look at the face of this unknown creature. I couldn't see its face from my view, so debated in my mind about making a noise in order to get it to stop and look my way. My fear was that if it turned my way, it would forget about the deer and come after me instead. When the trio was about 20 to 25 yards from me, I let out a gasp. The creature stopped and stood and turned towards me. This being was not winded at all. Like chasing his deer was a stroll in the park. He saw me in my tree stand almost instantly, and we stared at each other for what seemed like a minute. All right, you guys, just for shits and giggles, put yourself in that tree stand, lock your eyes with this thing. Now time 1 minute. It's going to be the longest minute of your freaking life. It's going to be like an hour, right? 1 minute in wild time in the bush with anything alive is an hour. 1 full minute. My adrenaline was pumping, and I thought my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I felt like I was looking at his face through a tunnel. I remember that the face wasn't human, which increased the tunnel vision effect. His eyes were large and almond-shaped with no to very little whites. The eye color was almost dark brown. The eye color was a dark brown. He had little to no hair on his face, and the skin on his face was a tan color. He opened his huge mouth and gave me a snarling look. His teeth were square, larger than a human, and one of his teeth was broken. The look he gave me was an ugly mix of anger and surprise. He definitely didn't expect to see a human up a tree, and he didn't seem happy to see me. I was relieved when he turned his attention back to the deer and continued his chase into the thick tree line. Wow, he must have been hungry. Just a minute or less after that, I heard what sounded like deer meeting their fate. It took several minutes for my heart and breathing to return to normal. The reprieve didn't last long as I had my second look at this creature about 30 minutes later. No way. He walked out about 80 yards from me, staring at me from the same tree line he had disappeared from earlier. He stood there looking at me for at least 10 minutes, but it felt like an hour. 10 minutes would be like a lifetime. At that point, I couldn't make out any details, just a dark figure standing upright. My mind was racing as I sat there, wondering what he was planning for me. I guess he either decided against confronting me, or he was just curious because he eventually slipped back into the trees. I now believe that what chased those deer in front of my truck in '94 was a family of Sasquatch/Sabe. Can you imagine the organization it took to make 3 separate deer herds jump in front of my truck on a 10-mile stretch of road? This road never had traffic, and it was the middle of the night. So how did they know we were coming down that road that night? Were they following us a while? Before we turned onto the last road to the hunt camp? How did they gather 3 deer herds and time it just right so the deer jumped out in front of us going 55 miles an hour? How many of them would this take, and how did they communicate during this coordinated effort? I believe that the deer were scared out in front of us on purpose. I think we were being used as executioner so they could clean up the dead and wounded without doing the dirty work. Maybe this is their Friday night entertainment or a training exercise for their young. For what I saw, they can kill deer almost as easily as going to the grocery store. I believe these beings have the ability to instill fear and use this along with their physical abilities to herd animals. I believe they can tag people mentally and are then in tune with them. This would explain why they know when we are coming into their home woods and know our intentions. It would explain how they can follow you home too. Several experiences have convinced me that I've been tagged by this North Florida family of Sabe. To me, this is a fact that people need to be aware of, and I hope this helps the good, hardworking people listening to your channel. I appreciate what you've done for the subject. Please keep up the good work. Please keep up the good work, and stay safe out there. Sincerely, Kevin. Okay, Kevin, gotcha, man. What I would add to what I would say, if just me and you are sitting there having a beer talking about this shit, not that what I have to say means much of anything, but one time I was guiding Steelhead, drifting down a river in a drift boat. That's where you drop the boat at the top of the river. There's no power, it's just oars, and you fill your boat up to your guys, and you float down the river and fish with Steelhead all day and pull the boat. And about halfway down, I beached the boat, and we were standing on a long gravel bar, which is as well you had to cross water to get to it from the forested side of the river. It was probably at least 10:30 in the morning, which is late for game activity normally, wintertime. And I could hear something smashing through the bush, nothing too loud, but obviously I'm aware, and I looked over behind me, and a mature black-tailed doe deer came pounding out of that timber across that smaller chunk of river and stood by us. I think she's only like 10 yards from us, and she just stood there with us panting and wouldn't leave. And she's looking back into the timber, and then there's me. I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, right? Like, what's coming next? And nothing came out, nothing at all. Here comes Adventure Puppy. What's up? I'm gonna show everybody how you gained another, I don't know how many pounds overnight. People are gonna get tired of this. Right? It's like those new parents that keep on showing you pictures of their kid. And you're like, oh yeah, cool. Every frickin' hour, right? Are you bored? You think we're gonna jump in the quad, right? Huh? What do you think? What? Yeah, you wanna play? Go play. All right, who's next? Who is next? That's one hell of a frickin' experience, man. What was I getting at? Sorry, I got interrupted. So, I don't necessarily, obviously these beings, they don't need to herd anything in front of us. They don't need our help for them for anything, for nothing. But with those deer, I think if I had to throw down a thought, I would think maybe there's a big possibility those deer were running next to you to try to save their own asses. That's what I think. But a lot of people camping at nighttime and woke up with game standing there in their camp right by their fire, wouldn't leave, right? That's desperation measures for survival, right? But thanks again for that email, man. Absolutely appreciate you. And I agree with you on frickin' 99% of what you wrote in. For sure. All right, here's another one. The possible dangers of gifting. Hello, Steve. Hope you're doing well. I'm writing you again about a situation I had that I basically brought on myself. I sent you a couple other emails of encounters I've had, which is more than I can count on two hands. I'm only sending you the ones I feel are of most importance or could possibly help someone. That way I'm not using up your time. You've read one email already. I appreciate you sharing it. So back to the situation I had. I've been doing so-called research, LOL, on these things since 2015. I was trying everything possible to learn about them, even the foolish stuff. I know better now. So, about 2 years ago, I'd been doing the gifting thing for a good 6 to 8 months, same place in the woods every time. There's a huge fallen tree laying on its side, perfect for placing my gifts on. Behind this big fallen tree, there was a line of scrub brush that ran along a creek that fed into our lake here. The scrub brush was around 5 to 8 feet tall, very thick. You could only see about 2 to 3 feet inside of it. I had this feeling every time I was out there that somehow they were living beyond that scrub oak. And I did have a face-to-face encounter in the same area 2 years prior. Only lasted about 3 seconds. I'll put that one in another email. So, my gifting was doing well, I guess. If raccoons and other wildlife was just having a feast at my expense, lol. But eventually, I realized it was going nowhere and doing me no good. So I slowly stopped gifting. But this being a hotspot of mine, I wanted to film one and kept going back in there. So one day, I was doing my usual filming as I hiked in, talking to the camera, etc. Everything I filmed was going on my YouTube channel. So as I got closer to the huge fallen gifting tree, I was drawn towards that scrub brush for some reason. As I got to the end of the fallen tree, right where the root ball meets the line of scrub brush, also as being a little stealthy too, I stepped on a twig by accident and it made a loud popping sound. At that instant, something about 3 to 4 feet inside that scrub brush jumped up and was mowing down that brush like it was an elephant. Then, as it exited the brush on the other side, it hit that creek water so hard as it crossed the creek, it sounded like someone dropped a vehicle in the creek. It was that loud. So, as I'm standing there shitting my pants, thankfully went the other way, I felt like the coast was clear and entered just inside the line of brush, which was very hard to do, and only had to go about 3 feet, and I saw where it had been hiding. A void had been made inside that brush, like a hollowed out area. You couldn't see this void unless you're looking right down into it, which is why I only heard and never saw this creature, but we both know what it probably was. I could not only hear the bipedal footfalls as it ran off, but I could feel the ground shake too. That thing was waiting on me to leave it some food on the tree, or possibly something worse, although it did run off. So, I'm sure everyone can see where I'm going with this. In my opinion and experience, gifting is not such a good idea, LOL. So I'm going to leave it there. Got to get back to work. Steve, you're a godsend. You have an army behind you, brother, so keep up the great work. We got your back. Feel free to use my name, Chris Dickinson from Oklahoma. Okay, man, thanks for that. I've never gifted, intentionally tried to leave gifts for these beings ever, and I never would myself. That's just me. Everybody else, it's your ride. You do what you need to on your ride, but I would definitely 100% wouldn't suggest or encourage people to do that unless you are willing to throw the dice and risk having you, not only you, but maybe even your family, having lifelong nonstop shit going on, right? That you didn't really anticipate having into your lifetime. Hello, Steve. My name is Teresa. During my early childhood in the 60s, my best memories were running down the Santa Cruz Mountains and climbing the big boulders in Yosemite. I sometimes tagged along when my dad and brothers went hunting. We loved the woods, so my husband and I moved to North Idaho. Our home is located in the rural backwoods surrounded by pines with lots of wildlife. I won't disclose the area out of respect for the current owner's privacy. Some of my family and friends already know of my Sabe and paranormal experiences. I'll leave out my paranormal experiences. You read my brother's story last year. He and I seemed to be the sensitive ones in the family. After viewing your February 7th, 22 story, he called to inform me that someone else had the same encounter I had some 8 years prior. Instantly, my heart started to pound because I just learned that I had a Sabe encounter and not done by a wicked entity. I'm referring to Luke's story, who as a child had a Sabe place its hand under his camp pillow, then gently move his head up and down. While Luke's encounter happened while camping, mine happened in my bedroom one bright morning. It's creepy. I was on my back to be awakened, finding my head gently going up and down, 2 to 3 inches high. I distinctly felt 3 large fingers under my pillow cradling my head. As my head was going up, the third and last time, I turned towards my husband, thinking he was doing it, only to find him asleep with his nearest arm at his side, semi-facing away from me. I immediately went to quiet prayer using the name of Jesus. As a believer, it always works for me. Yes, it scared me, but I wasn't traumatized by it. I didn't smell any foul odor or evil vibes towards me. With this new information, I'm puzzled. Why did an unseen Sabe do that to me? Our bed, without a headboard, was up against a wall where we had a bathroom tub on the other side. I didn't tell anyone about this event until a few years later. I didn't want to scare them at the time. Come to find out later that the place had some bad history attached to it. My other strange occurrence took place some years later. It could be Sabe related. We had big dogs that we would bring inside at night. One evening, as I went to fetch one, I was stopped in my tracks by an extremely loud screech directed in my right ear. It lasted 3 to 4 seconds, rattling the inside of my head. It made me bend over as I tried to cover my ear. I quickly scanned the area trying to find the darn owl, but saw nothing. I asked a neighbor about the encounter and was told we had screech owls in the woods. It happened again about a month later, at almost the same spot. It's as if it was standing next to me as it screeched. It's no wonder I'm not deaf now. While drafting this email, I went online to hear the decibel sound levels of owls. Screech owls, my ass. No one came close to that piercing sound. Through your channel, I also learned about the Sabe's love for slapping the outside of people's dwellings. Yes, it happened one time. We also found our heavy-duty chain link gate, 7 foot by 10 foot. 7 foot by 10 foot on the ground, damaged on both ends. Picture attached. I had it leaning on a tree tied with hay bale twine. I found it on the ground and had 2 friends lift it back up with much effort. The second time on the ground, it was damaged, so we left it there. My brother claims to have seen similar damaged gates in the Sierra Mountains. We couldn't see ourselves keeping up with the place in our senior years, so we sold the place. We told the current owners about the Sabe, and they didn't seem concerned. To this day, they report no strange occurrences, and either have we at our new place. Still living the small town Idaho country life that we love. I hope these experiences have helped someone's puzzle piece. When you have a strange experience, tell someone. You'll be amazed about what others have to tell as well. Amen to that statement. To those unbelieving trolls, there are plenty of hotspots referenced to you can check out. But don't forget to wear your adult diapers if you are brave enough to go out there. No doubt. In closing, please know that we pray for you, your family, David, Scott, and Edgar. We thank you, Steve, for voicing the people's stories about the other people. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And there is the picture. I wonder if it'll work on here. How's that? It is working. Look at that. That is the bent piece of fence or gate. I definitely took a bit of pressure to make that bend in it. For sure. Thanks again for sending that email. Thank you for your time. It's precious. We appreciate it. I gotta go tend to Adventure Dog here for 1 minute. She is pacing, thinking we're gonna go do something. All right, got another one. This is titled More Info for the Previous Email. And this is sent almost a year ago. I hope this makes sense. This is what happens when you don't send it all in one email, right? A year later almost. Hi Steve, I sent an email titled My Awakening in February. I've been asking a lot of questions of people who have hunted with me over the years, and holy hell have I received some feedback. No doubt. My buddy Keith, who, his grandpa Merlin and my grandpa started our hunt camp back in the 40s or 50s, saw it. He described it as a crazy, skewed-looking wolf creature that was bigger than any bear or wildlife he had ever seen. It scared him bad enough that he never hunted the island in the swamp again. He'd been hunting this island for the better part of 20 years. My grandpa had his life saved by it. He fell out of his stand at age 73 and blew out both of his knees. He was about a mile from his car and bow hunting alone for bear. He passed out from the pain and woke up at his car. He had no recollection of what or who carried him to his car, but he knew what had happened. Unfortunately, no one else would believe him. You can't believe how bad I wish I could talk to him about my experience. He passed away in 2012. Holy shit. Similar stories have been reported numerous times now. Prior to that, he's by himself and got his car stuck in the creek crossing. He remembered getting out of his car and looking for logs and sticks to put under his wheels. The next thing he remembered was being in his car driving to his stand. Again, no recollection of how his car was unstuck or how he was even driving to his stand. But again, he knew. Wow. I'll be talking to my aunt next time I go up. She lives there about 6 miles from camp, and see if she or my uncle ever had any experiences. They lived there since the 70s, and I'm sure that at least my uncle has had experiences since him and my grandpa were pretty much always hunting together. To be honest, I was never a believer, nor a disbeliever prior to my experience. But this and my experience has definitely changed my mind and my life. I hear a lot of stories about Sabe helping people, and also about them scaring the hell out of people. I never felt any threat from my experience. I did feel uneasy, but never really scared or like my life was in danger. That being said, I'm going to try to speak to them next time I go up with Mind Speak and see what happens. I've already experimented with this and had some success per my last email. Wish me luck, LOL. I'm sure you and the others will say I'm nuts for handling this the way I am, but I feel safe doing this, and I will definitely have adequate protection in case something goes wrong. But I honestly don't want to ever harm the being in my woods. I want to thank it for helping my grandpa. Thank you so much for doing what you do, Steve. It's eased my mind in dealing with this. Much appreciated, brother, Ed Steele. Ed, I hope you said it's okay to use your name. I seem to be screwing up the odd time with that at the end of the emails, but thanks for sending that in, man. And you're not the only one to report them, these beings, these people helping us. One of the earliest accounts, I think it was in BC, coast of Vancouver Islands, a native man was reported to had filled his boat with fish. His boat was on the edge of the river, but he had beached his boat at higher tide. The tide went out and he was stuck. And he was pushing, he was messing around, couldn't get his boat out of there. And went to see if he could walk somewhere for help, and came back, and there was massive footprints, and the boat was pushed into the water, enough for him to manage it, and there was a handful of salmon missing for the efforts. Right? It's all sorts of people, but there's another hiker broke his leg, and a female Sasquatch picked him up and carried him and placed him by the main hiking trail, and he said he could see two of them in the bushes watching him as two hikers came up and found him. There's a lot of similar sightings, man. But anyway, yeah, I wish you luck. Lots of luck out there, and go with your gut instincts. Obviously, your gut's telling you it's okay to do this, so give her, man. As long as the gut says it's okay, it's okay. Report back if you want. If you learn anything new, that'll help us. All right. Here's another one. Interdimensional, not extraterrestrial. Hey, Steve, I just started watching your content, listening to stories. Interesting for sure. After hearing stories before you were discovering this channel, I believed all these phenomena creatures to be interdimensional. My experience: we live in a remote village well above Lake Superior. First encounters when I was about 6. My brother and I headed to our bedroom for bed, and we felt the floor vibrate with footsteps and saw a shadow come from our bedroom doorway. We quietly looked at each other and decided to hide from our dad, who was coming out of our room. So we moved quickly down the hallway and past the kitchen where our mom was doing dishes and headed towards the living room. There was our dad sitting on the couch doing a crossword puzzle. My brother and I looked at each other in confused disbelief. We lived in a trailer. No way you can walk the length of a trailer without bumping into someone or passing them. There was something in our room that cast a shadow and walked on 2 feet. Sometime later on another night, I was brushing my teeth before bed when from the corner of my eye, I had seen a skin head with a large forehead of some kind peeking at me from around the corner of the door, only 3 feet away. I don't know what a skinhead is. I gave a blood-curdling scream and my eyes fixed on the doorway, stepping further away. My parents and brother came rushing. Obviously, they did not bump into anything or see anything strange, but I could not forget what I saw. Later, I found out what it was. Look up LAM. There's a lot of info about this creature. I curse it. That's interesting and a first for me. LAM. The shadow people I was seeing and this freaky humanish thing looking at me were connected with Rosicrucian that my family had looked into before. Rosicrucian that my family had looked into before I was even born and had since wanted nothing to do with. Simply the mere interest of curiosity of what it was about had consequences. As I grew older, I still had these similar experiences of seeing human shadows and feeling a presence near me. Adventure dogs chewing on some antlers. The utmost presence of fear, not my fear, but as though the being itself was the embodiment of fear and seemed filthy, something that just made you feel gross. Sometimes their presence was so thick I could almost see them move in the darkness like heatwave shadows. They were what most recognized as grays. During my time researching, I was having terrible sleep paralysis episodes. I would feel paralyzed, yet think I was shaking my wife and yelling at her to wake me up. In reality, I was not. Strange to explain what it really felt like, other than I woke up like a prisoner in my body, seeing my surroundings in a spiritual realm, and the sound was that of my head underwater. When I discovered the truth of all of it, I realized the power of prayer and of my Lord Jesus Christ. My sleep paralysis has never come back, and these experiences of seeing shadows or feeling an ill presence, I now have authority over them and have purged my house of them. Once I understood who Lamb was, I immediately called it out. I could sense that it was afraid of me now that I belonged to Christ and could feel the room clear out like cockroaches exposed to light. Now I'm having supernatural experiences of the good kind with my Lord and Savior. And some same people who disregard Sasquatch, I receive the same disbelief from others unless they also have those experiences. The spiritual realm is real, and there is peace, power, and authority in Jesus' name. All right, gotcha, Ann. That's definitely out of my. I got nothing to add or take, or no, I shouldn't say take. I got nothing I can add to that. I can't even comment on it because I'm absolutely unfamiliar with those kinds of experiences. Am I curious of having those experiences? Nope. Have I heard about the grays? Yep, I think we all have. We heard of all those descriptions of what a lot of people call aliens, right? All right, hold on a minute. Sorry. Okay. Adventure dog, you can't eat the grizzly bear. Thank God. Anyway, it's a different topic altogether, is it not? It's different than what we're normally used to. We have a lot of people reporting in of beings in their homes and houses, shadow people, the grays, the aliens. I just haven't had time for me to go and look into these topics and listen. Probably because I'm so caught up in what our current topics have been, which is in the mountains and the wilderness in North America and more, right? And my fellow people who I need to help get back out there and keep experiencing life and what they're passionate about in the woods and in the mountains. That's what I'm about a lot. All right, we're going to blast out one more, and then me and Adventure Dog are going to get moving. I can tell by the neighborhood dogs, which rarely bark. There's a bear out there. But there's been bear sightings. A bear's been sighted just, 200 yards away a few times this past week, and I'm surprised it hasn't come here yet with all the harvesting and the processing of turkeys and chickens and deer have been going on, but now she's acting real nervous. I guess she can tell the alarm in the dog language. So maybe I'll take her and see if we can go find this bear. See what's up. First, I'll get this last email out. It's funny, she's not liking it. All right, listen to this. I just saw the picture posted 5 hours ago. Steve, I just saw the picture that you posted of what a Sasquatch looks like. It's the one where someone is holding a photograph up and they took a picture of that picture. I know what you're talking about, and that actually wasn't they weren't meaning what a Sasquatch looks like with that picture. What they were meaning of is what one of the original human beings potentially looked like, is what they held up. I've seen 7 Sasquatches in the last 42 plus years, and I've heard many more. 3 of them from less than 10 feet and out to 60 plus yards. In 2014, the one at 60 plus yards was 9 feet tall. It came down a short timbered hillside, came out of the timber, then walked in front of myself and my wife, left to right. Its foot tracks were 16.5 inches long, 9 inches across the ball of the foot, and 5 inches across the heel. Its stride was over 7 feet. Holy shit. It crossed the old 20-foot wide dirt skid road we were standing on in 2 steps, ditch to ditch. It was in view for about 20 seconds. They do not look anything like what your picture shows. There is no comparison between their face to ours, nor even any of our early hominids, which they are not. They are their own unique species and have their own unique DNA. I don't know who is passing this off on to you, but I would say they've never seen one, close up or otherwise. I know quite well from firsthand experience of what I speak. Take care. Okay, man. You know what? A common thing with a lot of people online, a lot of people, is they'll hear something or see something or read something and it registers as something else. You know, I've been guilty of it myself, and it's funny how many times people do it. It's like as an example, I posted up a screenshot of the medical office. This is important actually to mention. I posted up a screenshot of the medical office in Mexico that do the stem cell therapy. And I said I didn't have a link for it, but there was a screenshot of it which showed everything you needed to do to find it. Phone number, website, everything was in that screenshot. And I got pummeled with people saying, "Where's the link? Where's the link? You didn't post the link. Where's the link?" You know, meanwhile I say, clearly, I don't have the link. But here's the screenshot of all the links. That's just a roughie. But anyways, I need to get that out too about the link for the stem cell, whether or not you're into it or not. I don't give a shit. Take from what you will, leave it. But getting back to, I think I still have that picture on my phone, actually, and the picture was not being posted as a photo of a Sasquatch. It was a photo of what? I don't remember the official biological term for this being, of this age of humans, but it was supposed to be a photograph of what they feel the first early female humans may have looked like. I forget the name. But they did not say, this is what a Sasquatch looks like. Okay, man? Thanks for your input anyway, but I'm more interested in hearing about, I'm definitely more interested in hearing about all these encounters you've had. Where were they? How did your wife react to it? And what's her feelings on this? And has she seen them a bunch of times as well? I'd be curious to know about that. If you got anything, and if you have any knowledge that you may be able to share with the people through me, and if you do, send it, man. That's what we're about, all right? And don't forget, that video wasn't, it's an easy mix-up, no big deal, but I do recall the photo. Where the hell is it? It's probably on the computer then. Might be on the computer, whatever. Anyways, I gotta get going. Adventure Dog is sitting on the old sleeping bag pad there, bored to shit, waiting for me, her adventure supplier, to get up off my ass. And what else is new? By the time you guys see this video, Sarah would have made the store live. And you can find it at, it is called How to Hunt Store, howtohuntstore.com. Howtohuntstore.com. One word. Howtohuntstore.com is the domain. And she's got a bunch of variations of the How to Hunt hats available right now. And but there's a whole bunch of other goodies coming in as well that I'm pretty stoked about. And as well, we'll be throwing down the Blacktail Hunter stuff, which I know a shit pile of people want, including me, to get back into that again. I had all that available about 4 years ago or something, and I just didn't have time to maintain it. Other shit came up, but it's back. So I think she's got all the hats in there right now. There's 100-something. I think she's got 130 hats available right now or something. I don't know. And there's going to be a bunch of other cool stuff coming. I want her to hurry up and make me my coffee mug. And then we can all have that mug for the morning knowledge sharing. But anyway, howtohuntstore.com is There's a store. I guess I'll probably put a link up for in the video description in below this video, and you can get these out. We'll get these out. She'll get them out to you. All right. Now the dogs are still going ape shit. She's sitting there nervous. We're gonna go see if we can't find our first yard culprit, and we'll see how Adventure Dog reacts to it. I'll be back shortly.